I'm Chris Allen. I'm Associate Professor in the Centre for Hate Studies at the University of Leicester, and this week marks National Hate Crime Awareness Week. As with every National Hate Crime Awareness Week, the Home Office publishes its data to show us what the levels of hate crime have been in England and Wales in the previous year. Now, Scotland and Northern Ireland publish those data separately. So when we're talking about that, when I'm talking about that now, I'm only talking about England and Wales. But the headline from that is that this year, hate crime figures have increased by 8%. So this year, we've had more than 105,000 hate crimes recorded across police forces in England and Wales, excluding Greater Manchester. Now, if we start to look at that and we start to break that down into the kind of different monitored strands that we have, we see that race and ethnicity has increased by 6%. We see that sexual orientation has increased the most by 19%, transgender identity by 16%, disability is up 9%, and only religion or belief, those hate crimes motivated by religion or belief, has seen a decrease, and they've gone down by 5% this year. Now, I guess as someone like myself, I was quite surprised when I saw these figures because we've seen year-on-year increase, so record levels of hate crime for the past half decade. And this year's no different. And yet this year we had 3 months, maybe 4 months, where we were in a lockdown. And so around about a quarter of the year has actually been where most of us have been inside our own homes. Now, one of the reasons, for me, I thought that this would result in us seeing actually a decrease in hate crime, but actually the opposite has occurred. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. One of the things is that we've seen during lockdown, and particularly in the localised lockdowns that have come afterwards, we've seen localised spikes. So in Leicester, for example, we've seen localised spikes in hate crime targeting certain communities. We've seen Muslim communities being targeted on the back of this idea that actually they are deliberately spreading the coronavirus. And of course, right back at the start of this, we also saw those who are perceived to be Chinese or Southeast Asian heritage being targeted because some of our political leaders chose to refer to this as the Chinese virus. So some of these factors have kind of built into them, so that we've seen some different kind of trends to what we not see normally. One of the things we've also seen is that there's been a huge response to a hate crime response to the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black Lives Matter protests that we saw earlier in the year. And to give you an illustration of this, the numbers of hate crimes recorded in June this year, following the Black Lives Matter protest, was 34% higher than they were in June 2019. So a huge kind of jump in terms of the levels of hate crime that we've seen. And as we've seen with the Brexit referendum beforehand, with the terrorist attacks in 2017, we see that events and occurrences in the socio-political spaces have a direct correlation with the levels of hate crime. And it comes back to this idea around permission to hate. Certain events, certain rhetoric, certain things that occur gives those who want to perpetrate hate crime that permission to go out and do so, and to enact hate crime and enact violence, enact abuse, and so on. Now, one of the things that we've done this year is I've had a great opportunity to be able to collaborate with the International Network for Hate Studies. And this week, what you'll be seeing a number of new blog articles appearing on their website, which shows that what we see in the Home Office data is just the tip of the iceberg. Hate crime goes much, much wider than that. It goes much more further. It goes into new spaces. It goes into new manifestations. And so the forms of hate are constantly changing. And this year we've had a great opportunity. You'll be able to see on their website, on the INHS website, and also via this the Centre for Hate Studies Twitter feed, you'll see new articles on homeless hate, hate against sex workers. You'll see online hate around LGBT communities. You'll see the way in which kind of the Roma are being targeted for hate in this country. You'll also see articles which look at the way in which politics can influence hate crime as well. So one of the articles will be looking at political rhetoric in this country and the way in which our politicians kind of give that permission to hate. But also we'll be looking in Greece as well, and the way now criminalised Golden Dawn has really been able to engender Islamophobia there. Now, obviously, this only goes so far. Research in itself doesn't actually stop hate crime. It doesn't tackle hate crime. It doesn't actually reduce hate crime in many ways. But one of the great things about this is that this is new research. This is new ideas. This is new thinking from a whole set of young, new, innovative, original researchers that are doing, really pushing the frontier of hate crime research. And so what this gives us, it gives us an opportunity to have new knowledge. And with that, we get new thinking and new ideas as well. And so, what we can do is that it's not necessary that this is going to change the world overnight, but it will give us a chance to actually reflect on what hate crime is, reflect on how we respond to it, and also reflect on how we think about hate crime as well. And hopefully, by this time next year, when National Hate Crime Awareness Week 2021 occurs, hopefully we'll begin to see some positive change. Thanks very much.